So my name's Beth, and Kathy and I are very good friends, and we go back a little ways. We have our same interests, and I shared with her a story once, and I thought this is a good night to share that. Maybe it'll help someone. Um, have you ever heard anybody say that they're an empath? And then you looked at them because you didn't quite understand, and you thought, well, does she see ghosts? Like, what does that mean? I don't understand. Well, I'm an empath. And I'm here to tell you that that doesn't mean that I see ghosts and I get into all that stuff. It simply means that God gave me the ability to be sensitive towards things. So, it was really helpful when I was a middle school teacher because the kids would come in and I'd ask them, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? And they would say, oh, yeah, I know. They're lying to me because I can feel what's going on. Comes in and something's going on and he says, no, I'm fine. I'm like, you're not telling me the truth because I can feel it. So I can feel when you're unhappy. I can feel when you're happy. I can feel that stuff. God gave me the ability to feel those kind of things. But I'm here to tell you that it also has helped me get out of some situations that were a little bit dangerous at times. And I'm going to tell you about one of them really quickly. But back when I was like 18 years old, 18, 19, something like that. I was actually engaged at the time, which didn't work out, of course. But we were looking at different houses because we were going to build a house. And we were in this small, little, nice neighborhood. It was just very nice. Nobody was really out a lot outside. And if they were just kind of playing. And it was just a very nice place, like quiet and beautiful. Everybody's yard was kept up. It's the last place you would think anything would happen. All of a sudden I got this horrible feeling of dread, and I was just it panicked me to where I couldn't even focus on what we were looking at, and I kept saying, we got to go. I don't like this feeling. I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to be here. I have this horrible feeling. And finally he agreed, and we left because he didn't want to hear me asking him to get me out of there anymore. He didn't want to hear what I was, anymore from me. But later on I found out that about 15 minutes after we left, there was a shooting that took place in that neighborhood. And obviously, in talking to some people that I always went to about my faith and that I just looked up to, they said, well, what happened there was that you could feel the angst and what was going on in that neighborhood, and you could feel that pain of whoever was having and the fear of other people, and that warned your body, and it worked for you. So just so you know, when people say that they are something, don't always assume that it's, some sort of fantasy kind of thing, because it really can help you in the end. God gives you abilities that sometimes you don't even know how strong you are.
Happy Halloween, everyone. So that was my friend Beth. We'll hear from her again a little bit later in the show as well. And I've got my lighting kind of dark in here, so there's going to be a point at which I'll have to use my little flashlight to see what I have on my little papers. But we're going to do a little monster mash of stuff today. And I hope you have a good time. If you've got trick-or-treaters, obviously be safe. It's pretty cool here. So I'm remembering back to Halloween's when the kids were little, and I usually made their costumes. And typically in Texas, it's still pretty warm through, like to Thanksgiving, it's still warm. And there were a couple of years that I made the cutest little costumes based on thinking that it was going to be warm weather. And lo and behold, we get this cold spell for Halloween, and they have to put their coats on, and you couldn't see their costumes anyway. But it didn't seem to bother them as much as it bothered me. So first up today, and welcome if you're new to the channel, I'm Kathy, the cat part of RichKat Ranch. Obviously, this is my Halloween stream since Friday just happened to fall on the 31st this year. And I'll remember here, thank you if you're watching live with me. Thank you if you're tuning in after the stream ends to watch as part of the rewatch crew. There will be some interactive stuff today, so I hope we'll have enough people here to participate. But what I have coming up first, well, I think I'm going to do this throughout the show. And then I'll want you to make some notes as you watch some of these spooky stories, and decide if you think these are true stories or made up stories. So it will be part of my trick or truth game that's going to happen again throughout the show. And then I have a couple of other things that we'll do. Feel free to share your own spooky stories in the comments. If you've had a strange encounter, I'll be sharing a strange encounter of mine a little bit later in the show. I still don't know what happened or what it meant, but it has really stuck with me. So let's get our first story going. Again, you're going to hear from Beth a couple of times. So I'm going to play a scary story or a spooky story from Beth as part of Trick or Truth. And again, you'll decide if you think these are true stories or made up stories. So let me get that video going. What's the weather like where you are? Okay, so here's the first story from Beth. She'll have one more before we get through all of them. And is this a trick or is this the truth?
Happy Halloween, everybody. Today I'm going to share a story with you that is a true story. It's kind of a true crime, which is what Miss Kathy and I talk about all the time. It is about a hotel that is in Asheville, North Carolina. It's called the Battery Park Hotel. This is what it looked like. It still looks like that, but it's not a hotel anymore. That's a long story. You'll have to look it up and see. This story is about a gentleman named W. L. Clevenger. He and his niece had been traveling a bit, and they stopped in Asheville, and they decided to stay at the Battery Park Hotel. It was a very, very nice hotel, very elaborate. A lot of celebrities and congressmen and things like that used to stop and stay there because it was so nice, and they were treated very, very well. And back in that time period, which was in 1936, that was like an event to stop at places like that, you know, so it was a big deal. But they went there to stay, and she had gone to bed. They'd gone to bed, actually. And when she did not show up for breakfast the next morning, he got worried. So he went to her door, and she was in room 224. And he went and he knocked, and she never came to the door. So eventually he finally turned the knob and it opened. It was unlocked, which is not usual in a hotel. So he kind of he was a little spooked out just a little bit, you know. And so he went in and he came back out, and they noticed that he was just like completely white in the face, and he had tears running down his face. And so there was a hotel carpenter there and some other employees. They came running and they went into the room, and before they went in, he said, just look what they've done to her. And he just was just a mess. And so they went in, and they said it was horrible. She was blood soaked and everything. She'd been shot, and she'd been beaten so badly that she got hit underneath the left eye, and whatever she was hit with, which was sharp, they thought it was a can opener at first because they didn't know yet, but it went through the roof of her mouth. It was so bad. So later on, there had been a hall boy, and what that was younger boys who worked there and would like shine your shoes if you needed, or get you a newspaper if you needed something in the night. They just kind of stayed up and watched, and they were there to help you if you needed anything. His name was Durham Jones, and he said that during the night he had noticed that he saw somebody go through, a man, and he said, so he went over to the office and he kind of hid to see if he could see who it was, and the person, he saw them like run down the hallway. They jumped off the mezzanine and disappeared. So Asheville had a huge manhunt because back in the day you had the Vanderbilts and all sorts of people there that were super important posh people, you know, in the Biltmore estate. I'm sure if you've ever heard of that before, you'll understand it. It's just a very beautiful place. It still is actually a very beautiful place. But they looked, they said it was a .32 caliber. They said that they had put the muzzle next to her skin so close so that because they didn't want anybody to hear the shot. So, long story short, a 22-year-old named Martin Moore, who was from Spartanburg, he confessed. He said he went into the room and he was going to rob her. And she sat up and it startled her, so she started to scream, so he shot her, and then he beat her to death, and there was a sharp piece on the end of the butt of his gun, and that's what he beat her to death with. And so after all of that time, you know, manhunt and everything else, they caught him and he was prosecuted, and you'll have to look the story up because it's a very, very good story, and it's true. I wouldn't say it's a good story, it's a sad story, but it is a true story. It's unbelievable for that time period. That was July the 17th, 1936. If you want more, just let me know. She knows where to find me. Good night.
Okay, that was story number 1. She said it was true. Do you think it's really true, or is that a made-up story? Any of you guys from North Carolina that might know about the lore and spooky stories from North Carolina? I'm going to take a minute to show you my makeup because it took me forever to do it. Let me just say, for those of you who wear glasses, I know you know the struggle is real. And to do eye makeup, obviously, you have to be able to see your eyes. But when you wear glasses, kind of hard to do eye makeup with glasses on, even though you have to have your glasses on to do your eye makeup. So I did find an old pair of contacts, and I put those in, but I mean, they're like old enough that, like, still in the package, that I hadn't worn yet, but they're old enough now that it's just not even the prescription I need anymore. So I put them in, and I was so encouraged right away because they were very comfortable. My eyes are really sensitive, so I really only wear my contacts for special occasions. But today felt like a special occasion. So, but I couldn't see out of them because it wasn't the right prescription. So I've got my little tiny readers on, which is another issue that will probably result in me having to, I mean, I can see this page now if I hold my little flashlight over it. So, and obviously the stuff on the screen is big enough that it's not an issue, but I'm going to show you, let me take off my hat, and I'm going to show you my makeup because I think it turned out really cute. Oh, I got something going on here, don't I? Oh, we're going to take that off. I've put the hat on and taken it off so many times that I guess that's the lash glue I used to hold that on. But I've got, as you can see, a kind of a red theme going on. And you see my little sparkles in my hair. And these are the same little sparkles. There's my witchy makeup. I want to be a pretty witch if I'm going to be a witch. I've been a cat every year as long as I can remember. But I wanted to do something different this year. Okay, I got to figure out where my little friend is. Okay, he's right there. I ordered my hat from Amazon. I think it's super cute. My little spider friend. I want to point out this beautiful wreath that my sister Sharon, we'll hear from her in a little bit too, brought by. She said when she found it, she thought of me and she thought it might be fun to use it in the stream. So it is a co-star today. I'm kind of considering Beth my co-host, my virtual co-host, because she has contributed so much to the show today. And you're going to enjoy some more stories from her here in just a little bit. So that was the dilemma. And it took me longer than it would probably take someone who can actually see to do my makeup. And of course, I'm having to still factor in that the dogs need breaks and the ducks and geese need some time in the backyard. I still haven't let them go back out on the back pasture because of that coyote. But let's switch gears here just a little bit. And we're going to do a Mad Lib. And I'll tell you now, because it doesn't look like we have a lot of people in the chat. I'm going to, we'll put that there. I'm going to invite, believe it or not, Chat GPT to come in with us because I can ask it for words, for parts of speech. So we may just let it kind of play along with us. So let me get this screen ready, and I'm going to share my screen with Chat GPT. If you're not familiar with Chat GPT, you're going to get a little demonstration here. So let me share that. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I want myself here, but I want to put, oh, how does that work? What did that just do? When it went to, oh, it didn't. I thought it maybe showed that other screen already. But let's show that other screen. Share screen. And let's see what we get. All right, is it going to come up? Okay, I need to get, what is this? Okay. Okay, we're going to do that for now. I got to get rid of this one. Well, I wanted to do this. I kind of wanted to be on the screen with it. There we go. Wow, if you hit enough buttons, sometimes things really do work out for you. Okay, so we're playing Mad Libs. If you don't know how Mad Libs work, they are stories that have words missing. And when you're the person giving the words, you don't know what the story is. I can tell you all of the stories are Halloween themed, but I will be asking you to give me, or ChatGPT to give me, suggestions for parts of speech. And then once I have all of the parts of speech added to my story, I read the story. And because you don't know what the story is about when you give the words, it can sometimes turn out really funny. So if you're in the chat and you want to give me an adjective, give me an adjective. So remember, an adjective describes a place or person or thing. So we're going to ask ChatGPT. Oh, let me get to the ChatGPT screen. We're going to, oh, okay. I need that to move over there. Don't fight with me, please. Okay. Oops. Let's see what it says. I need to make this narrower. Spooky. Okay, look. ChatGPT is in a Halloween state of mind. Let me tell it that it's live with me on the show, and you'll see how this works. The pressure's on. All right, Kat, we're live. Let's make it fun and keep the audience guessing. What's next? Do you need a noun, a verb, or should I start doing fake commercial breaks for haunted dog treats? Okay, let's see. Again, if you're in the chat, let me get to the chat and move this over a little bit more. Okay, so now we need an animal. Hedgehog. All right. And next up, I need a place. Abandoned lighthouse. Abandoned. Man, it's going to make me write a lot. Okay. And now, again, if you're in the chat, give me your words in the chat, because I can always use, if I don't use some of your words now, I can use them for another Mad Lib. And now I need a verb. Sneak. A noun with a past tense verb. Whispered secrets. It's a noun, secrets, with a past tense verb. Okay. Oh, how clever. Okay. Now we need an adverb. Oops. Oh, it's thinking. Anyone got an adverb for me? So an adverb, remember, describes a verb. Like he ran quickly, or she ate voraciously. I haven't eaten yet today. And I made some hot water to have some hot tea, but then I took too long on my makeup and I didn't make any hot tea. Let's refresh this page. I need a new keyboard again already. Anyone else go through keyboards at the rate I do? It's something about over time, the little spring, I guess, inside the keyboard underneath each key goes bad grudgingly. And an exclamation. Oops. Wow. Yikes. It does know that I do family-friendly shows. Okay, then. Okay, so it wants a friend's name. I'm going to put Jerry. I'm going to put my friend Jerry from Butler Family Farm. Okay, a celebrity. Danny DeVito. Where did it get that? I've never talked to it about Danny DeVito. Unless it watched the stream last week with me and Richard when we played that name game thing. Because, oh no, that's the wrong. Am I thinking of the right person? Who used to be married to Rhea Perlman? Wasn't that Danny DeVito? Okay, now a silly word. What's that say? Fibber to gibbet. It's fun to say and guaranteed to get a laugh. Fibber. Wow. My readers are not as good as my flibber to gibbet. Flibber to gibbet. Flibber to gibbet. I've never heard that one. A number. Did you guys know you were going to be playing Chat GPT MadLibs today? 47. Adjective. Gooey. Oh, that's wild. Plural noun. Marshmallows. And while I'm thinking about it too, apologies if we do have internet problems. It looked like it was pretty choppy there at the beginning of the stream. We have been without internet off and on all week this week. Supposedly it had to do with the big storms that came through early in the week. I don't know. You guys can look back over the years and see that our service with Spectrum has been mediocre at best as long as we've had it, but we don't have a lot of options here. I don't really know how that works. Like, we only have one electric service provider. We're not allowed to choose from among the, dozens of electric service providers out here, because somebody somewhere once upon a time set up this agreement with Tri-County Electric, and it's a pretty good service. I'll say that compared to the other services I've used in my lifetime, it has been much more reliable. I guess the cost is about the same, but it wouldn't matter if we could find anything that was less expensive anyway, because we can't have it. Literally the only provider we can have here. And so the only providers we can have here for internet are Frontier and Spectrum. So I actually tried to switch to Frontier about 4 months ago, and we scheduled the appointment because they were going to have to come out and, run a line or whatever, because no one had ever had Frontier here before. Hey, Chris, how are you? Thanks for stopping in. We're playing MadLibs. I didn't have enough people in the chat, so Chat GPT and I are playing MadLibs. But when I asked for the next word, you're welcome to throw out some words for me. Anyway, and they no-showed for the appointment to come out and schedule the thing. And they were supposed to have sent me the email to let me know, okay, all of that's been set up. Let's set up a time now to come and install your equipment and, show you how to use everything. Well, when I didn't hear from them, like within a couple of days after they were supposed to have come to run that line, I contacted them and asked if they could tell me what the status was. And they said, oh, we don't have anything in the system that we were going to do that. And I said, well, I'm looking at the email right now that said this confirms that we will be sending someone out, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, happy Halloween to you too. This confirms that, you got an appointment, or we've scheduled an appointment to come out and run your line. So all they did was apologize and ask if I wanted to reschedule. And I said, yeah, I guess so. So we rescheduled, and guess what? They didn't show up again. So I followed up again and just asked, what's the status of this? We made the second appointment, and again, they told me, oh, I'm sorry, I don't show that we had anything in the system. And again, I'm looking at the email that says, your appointment is confirmed. Come back here, little spider. I got this hat because it has this spider hanging on it. Okay, can y'all see him? Can y'all see my little spider? I love spiders. Isn't that cute? So I told them, so they asked if I wanted to reschedule, and I said, no, because if you don't understand, what you're telling me is that this is the level of customer service I can expect from you. So no, thank you. I wanted to switch because of the poor customer service and the poor service we have with our current provider. But obviously it really isn't going to do me any good to switch to y'all. So we're still stuck with this crummy internet, but let's get back to the story. Okay. ChatGPT is probably wondering what I'm doing. Okay. So I need an adjective and a past tense verb. I'll wait to ask him to see if maybe Chris has an adjective for us or a past tense verb. So again, for what it's worth, you got those problems too. It's just really hard to find quality stuff anymore. You know it? I think that's fair to say. And that's why it's so special when you do find a company or a place of business or just a person that really does provide quality care or quality customer service. Okay, let's get an adjective. Mysterious. It really does have Halloween on its mind because it knows this is my Halloween live. Past tense verb. Anybody got a past tense verb for me? I'm going to break my little flashlight before we finish. Vanished. Okay, a body part. The keyboard's real far away from me. Like that's an excuse. Oh. People know I can't type. Elbows. Oh, that's a weird one. I have not read this story yet either. Verb. Okay, I can barely see that. Chris, is that a leg? What is that? Oh, I gotta pull this over here now. Elbow. Is that an elbow? That's funny. Oh, well, it is a leg. Okay, because when it first came up, I thought, is that lamp from A Christmas Story? Okay, let's get a verb. Wobble. You remember the leg lamp, huh? Okay, I need a plural noun. Pickles. Again, I'm hungry. Verb ending in ing. I may never get this lipstick off. It's like 4 coats of lipstick. Slithering. Plural noun. And don't fret because we're going to have another trick or treat story coming up here in a little bit. You might have to run it back to listen to the first story to decide if you think that's really a true story or not. Moonbeams. And finally, an adjective. Oh, you had bats. Okay, let's put bats there. Bats. And an adjective. Oh, I guess maybe you meant leg. I don't know if you were answering me now. Glittery, that's good. Okay, and now let's see what the story is. So let's take him off for now. And let's get a little mood music going. Okay, I hope that music's not too loud. You can kind of hear it though. All right, here's your MadLib story for today. Oh, let me get the comments back open. Just throwing stuff out there. Okay. No, that's how it works. So if you've ever played MadLibs, right, that's what happens. You ask your group for whatever part of speech and a bunch of people all shout out some stuff. So, okay, so here comes the story. This is the best Halloween party ever. Last night, I went to the most spooky Halloween party. The invitation was delivered by Hedgehog and told me to go to the deep, dark, abandoned lighthouse and sneak all the way to the very top of the spooky whispered secrets. The doorbell grudgingly... what? Whispered secret. Oh, I did that backward, didn't I? Spooky secret whispers. The doorbell grudgingly... Yikes! My friend Jerry answered the door, dressed up as Danny DeVito, and said, "Flibber to gibbet." There were 47 different costumes, including gooey ghouls and mummified marshmallows. Oh, some alliteration there. He didn't even know that was going to happen. The music was loud and mysterious, so I vanished until my elbows hurt. There were also delicious treats to wobble, like candy corn, chocolate-covered pickles, but my favorite part of the party was the pumpkin slithering and bobbing for bats. I can't wait until next Halloween. It will be even more glittery. Okay, there was our first Mad Lib of the show. Let me turn the music down again a little bit. Although, listen to this great music. I think we're going into the next song now. Found some nice spooky stuff. But let's do another story in our Trick or Truth. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, Trick or Truth. Let me pull that up. Let's see what we get this time. All right, next up we have, okay, is this a trick or is this truth?
I've never been a person who was sure what to believe about ghosts, but this experience has boggled my mind. I was around 12 or so, and my cousin, my brother, and I were all hanging out in our family room watching movies. It was like midnight, and my mom had been in bed for a few hours. I looked up and saw, at least what I thought was my mom, walk past the entryway to the family room from the living room to the kitchen. My brother even called out, "Hey, Mom." No response. She just walked right past without acknowledging us and into the kitchen and out of view. She was wearing a long, flowing, whitish nightgown. Keep in mind, the entire house is pitch black except for the light of the TV. A couple of seconds later, we were wondering what was going on, so we got up and glanced in the kitchen. Nothing, just darkness. We started freaking out, and all three ran down the hallway through the living room and burst into my mom's room. She was lying in bed, passed out asleep. We woke her up and asked if she was just in the kitchen. She sat up, trying to figure out what was happening, and she was wearing blue pajamas, not a white nightgown. We freaked out even more. I didn't know what to think. There's a door that connects the kitchen to her room, but that door was always wedged shut and would make a loud creaking, scraping noise every time it was shoved open. No one used that door. We were up and heading towards her room in a matter of seconds after we saw her, or what we thought was her. She wouldn't have had time to walk past, shove open and close that door, and change her clothes. We have no idea who or what we saw walk past the kitchen that night. I would have convinced myself I was seeing things, but my brother called her name. He saw it too. I'm not making this up. It's been over 10 years. I'm 24 years old, and the thought still gives me weird goosebumps. And for some reason, I start to tear up when I think too much about it. I'm an intellectual and rational person, but if you ask me if I believe in ghosts, I can't comfortably say no.
Okay, that was story number 2. Do you think that one was true or was that a trick? I can hear Jonathan Frakes' voice. Wow, that'd be a coup to get Jonathan Frakes on the show. Anyone else remember that old show? Was it Fact or Fiction? Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. The first year, actually, the host was James Brolin. But then for the subsequent seasons, it was Jonathan Frakes. I liked that show. I love that kind of stuff. Okay, Chris thinks that story is true. So make notes. I'll do the reveal at the end of the show today. Let's do another one of these stories, and then I have some trivia for you. Oh, that means I got to pull up the wheel. Y'all, we're going to use the wheel today. That's been a while. All right, let me get that ready. And let's do another story. Take this story off. Let's hear from Beth again. Okay, here's my friend Beth.
Since it's Halloween, I thought I would tell you another story from Asheville. When you're a teenager, you hear all these urban legend stories and things like that, and you go do stupid things like turn around in circles several times in front of a door that you think there's a haunted person named Mary or something and like that. I think a lot of times, though, we don't realize the tragic stories behind some of those things. Up in Asheville, there is a mountain over there, Bowcatcher Mountain, and there's a place called Helen's Bridge on it. And the story goes that there was a woman and her daughter, and they were very, very, very close, and they lived in a modest little place up there, and they called it Zealandia, I believe, something like that. I could be wrong. I'd have to look. But the story goes that one night they were at home, and a fire caught, and the daughter was caught in a room, and most of the place was fireproof, so you can imagine the one room that wasn't caught, and it went really quickly. Well, tragically, the little girl died, and the mother, who was extremely close to her daughter, just couldn't get past it. So there was a bridge, a rock bridge that went over the roadway to connect their road to the big mansion that was up there. And she, in desperation, went and hanged herself off of that bridge. And so legend has it, if you go to the edge of the bridge where it starts up in the curve and you say, Helen, come forth, Helen, come forth, Helen, come forth, sometimes the apparition of her body will come forward and she'll come asking, have you seen my daughter? Because what locals say is that she has been seen wandering around that mountain looking for her daughter's spirit to connect back with. So it's interesting to me to know that we do some things sometimes and we don't think about the background, but things like that really do happen, unfortunately, and there's a lot of misery behind it, but who knows, maybe she's still there looking.
All right, that was Beth again. Let's do a little trivia now. Again, let me get my little flashlight. That's a big problem with my eyes lately. The older I've gotten, I feel like I need so much more light to be able to see whether the prescription on my glasses is correct or not. Okay, let's get to the wheel. So we're going to share our wheel. Let's take this off. Share screen. All right. Who remembers the wheel? Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. Okay, that's better, isn't it? Huh. I don't know how to make it. All right, I'm spinning the wheel to get a category. Oh, the category is wild card. And here's a wild card Halloween trivia question. What spooky tradition do people in Japan celebrate every August to honor the spirits of their ancestors? Anyone know? I did learn a lot putting trivia together. Any guesses from the chat? Okay, so in Japan, The spooky tradition that is practiced there or celebrated there in August is the Obon Festival. Families light lanterns to guide spirits back to the afterlife. I think that's kind of a neat thought. Let's do another spin. Really want this a little bigger. There we go. That's what I wanted right there. Ooh, animal myths and oddities. Let's see what we've got there. Okay, question. Why were black cats thought to be witches' familiars? Everyone knows black cats are kind of associated with magic and witches, but they are often believed to be one of the most, if not the most common familiars. I don't know how to describe a familiar, but I think it's almost like a spirit animal thing. So witches tend to have like a friend or a guide that is an animal that's around them. But let's see. So the question was, why were black cats thought to be witches' familiars? The answer is their nocturnal nature and glowing eyes. Huh, that's interesting. Let's do another spin. See if we get a different category. Oh, another animal myths and legends. Or oddities. All right, next question. What creature is linked with vampires? Everyone knows this, right? Whether you're a Halloween fan or not, everyone knows what creature is linked with vampires. And I think they're super cute. And I think they get a bad rap. But they're actually very friendly and very loving and affectionate and very smart. Bats. Bats are linked with vampires. Let's do another spin. Well, we're going to go through all the animal myths. Right. Animal myths and oddities. True or false? Owls were believed to predict death. Who doesn't like owls? And we have a big, what kind of owl did somebody, a great horned owl around here somewhere, because you can hear him hooing at night a lot of times. And I've definitely seen fewer mice and rats in the barn and around the duck pen. The combination of the owl and the big rat snake that's been coming around means that we haven't had to battle with rats, because the rats will come around because they know there's leftover food and water. Richard freaks out when he finds a rat snake in the barn, but when I find one in the pen, I'm excited to see it, but I do relocate them if we have eggs and we're waiting on hatchlings. Okay, so true or false, owls were believed to predict death. That is true. One more spin because I really want to get a different category. Famous frights. What 1978 film introduced Michael Myers? I know some of you know this. If you're watching as part of the rewatch crew, let me know how many of these you knew the answers to. The 1978 movie that introduced us to the character Michael Myers was Halloween. Jamie Lee Curtis in her prime. All right, now let's do another story. We'll leave. Ooh, sorry about that. We'll leave that to put back up again here in just a minute. Okay, video file. And here, okay, here's my friend Blake. Blake and I have known each other since high school, and I often refer to him as Lil Bro because my senior year of high school, I starred in Bye Bye Birdie, and he played my little brother. So I played the Anne Margaret character, and he played my little brother. And just all these years, when I see him or talk to him, I refer to him as little bro. So here's my friend Blake, who is a professional magician, by the way. He has a YouTube channel here called Magician Word. So check that out. If I remember correctly, he even relatively recently posted a video that has earned more than 1 million views. And it had to do with an old song that he was having trouble remembering. So he posted a video about it to ask people to help him figure out what the song was. He could only remember part of it. But here's my friend Blake telling a spooky story. Is it trick or is it truth?
Hi, Kat. Thanks for having me. I hope you enjoyed this story, everybody. This is so weird. It's a dream. And it was like a 3-second dream, almost like that quick. I wake up sweating, like sit straight up in my bed because my across the street catty corner neighbor, I visual him, his heart explodes and he falls backwards in the snow. Snow covers his face and I sit up. That's all there was to the dream. But what's amazing is in that moment, in that 2 seconds, the interpretation of the dream was given to me just like Joseph. It was the white snow represented white drugs. So I am like in a panic. My wife wakes up. I say, we've got to tell him, right? So the next day we see his girlfriend out. We do tell him, but we have to go on a trip and we're gone for 3 months. We come back, we find out, we'll call him Al, had died. And the coroner report in the paper said his heart exploded and it was due to an OD on white drugs. Dreams are really weird, and as a skeptical person, a magician who deals in deception, this one still has me puzzled. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for having me.
And I want to try something because I need to rule out that this isn't a problem happening with StreamYard. So I want to try to play that story again. Again, do you think that was truth or was that a trick? Let me take that off. And I'm going to just do like a share screen where I just play that video on my own video player here on the computer. But these are the kind of problems we've had, but with hey, how are you? Thanks for stopping in. We're about to do a little experiment because I want to see if I can figure out why there is so much lag, even though we've had internet problems like you wouldn't believe this week, and that could be what it is. So I'm going to pull that video up here. And I'm just going to play it. Oh, well, where is it? Okay, yeah, I just saw that folder there. Wow, I need to clear out this external hard drive. I have learned that lesson that if I keep stuff on an external hard drive, it doesn't eat up so much space that it slows my computer down. My computer even is just very slow. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to share this screen. Let me pull this up here. I'm going to pause it as it starts, I think. Okay. And let's see if this looks any better. Okay, I'll have to add the wheel back because StreamYard won't let me share 2 different screens. Okay. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's see what happens here. Oh, is it sharing it? Okay.
Hi, Kat. Thanks for having me. I hope you enjoyed this story, everybody. This is so weird. It's a dream, and it was like a 3-second dream,
Much
almost
better,
like
isn't it?
that quick. I wake up sweating, like sit straight up in my bed because my across the street catty corner neighbor, I visual him. His heart explodes and he falls backwards in the snow. Snow covers his face, and I sit up. That's all there was to the dream. But what's amazing is, in that moment, in that 2 seconds, the interpretation of the dream was given to me, just like Joseph. It was the white snow represented white drugs. So I am like in a panic. My wife wakes up. I say, we've got to tell him, right? So the next day we see his girlfriend out. We do tell him, but we have to go on a trip, and we're gone for 3 months. We come back, we find out, we'll call him Al, had died. And the coroner report in the paper said his heart exploded, and it was due to an OD on white drugs. Dreams are really weird, and as a skeptical person, a magician who deals in deception, this one still has me puzzled. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for having me.
Sorry about that. I was telling you my spooky story. So I'm going to start over and tell you my spooky story. This was around 1997. I lived in Plano, Texas. The kids were with their dad for that weekend. I had a nice apartment in Plano, worked for a dentist's office there. And I was sound asleep and awakened by what felt like someone coming and sitting on the edge of the bed. So if you've ever had that happen, right? Someone comes in to sit on the bed. Then it moved around and it felt like if a cat was walking around on the bed. I've had cats. I did not have a cat at the time, but I had had a cat and I've had cats. And that's what my thought was as it was happening, was that there was a cat on the bed. Again, I didn't have a cat. So I had that paralysis, that sleep paralysis or whatever it is. I mean, I was awake. I remember this happening very vividly, but I absolutely could not move. I wanted to turn and see what it was. I wanted to turn the light on. I wanted to reach over and feel, because it really felt like a cat. And then I just laid there waiting to be able to move and waiting for whatever it was to get up off the bed. I never felt another movement. So when I finally woke up enough that I could look around, right, I'm thinking I'm going to find a cat or a raccoon or something that got into the apartment. There was nothing. There was nothing there. I still have no idea what happened. I don't know what that means, but that's my spooky story. It's really the only one I can think of. I too am an empath. If you missed the beginning of the show, it's not unusual for me to, meet someone or be around someone and kind of know that something's up. And there have been a lot of times when, I would pass someone at work or back in my like room mother days. One of the teachers is walking down the hall and we say hello to each other. And then I stop and turn around and ask, is everything okay? Not that there was anything really obviously overtly indicative of a problem, but I had great relationships with the kids' teachers growing up. Again, I was a room mother and I was there a lot. And I still remember one time one of the teachers said, that's weird that you would ask me that because I really have been worried about whatever the thing was that she was worried about. And she said, I don't know how you knew to ask me that. And she was a very energetic, positive, upbeat person. So again, it wasn't that she wasn't like that. We just said hello, but I just got this weird vibe that something was different. Something was wrong. And she was really appreciative that I took the time to ask. She said, it's not something I would have shared with anybody, but because you asked, I'm glad I got to talk about it. So that's a blessing and a curse all at the same time sometimes. But there's my weird stories. So that was my story is story number 5 about the cat on the bed. Again, you have to decide if it's true or not. And let's do a little more trivia. All right, so I got to take this off. I'm going to put in a little wish list thing to StreamYard to let me have 2 screens up that I can share. Okay, we're going to put this over here. Oh, I guess I could always just have that over here and then share that whole screen. Let's try that. Entire screen. Screen 2 with sound. And then I'm going to move my little wheel over there. Okay, did I not move my little wheel over there? Yes, let's move my little wheel over there. Okay, I don't really like how it looks like that, but okay, we'll just put it right here. And let's spin the wheel. Let's do a little more trivia. Ooh, Erica's got some stories. Hey, you're welcome to come up on screen and tell them, or you can chat about them in the chat. Okay, let's spin the wheel. Let's see what we get. Yeah, I'll just do this because then I can share the videos over there too. Tricky treats. Let's see what we have under tricky treats. All right. Which candy was once called chicken feed? So this is a very popular Halloween candy. I like it. Some people don't like it. I like it. Anybody know which candy was once called chicken feed? And it makes sense. When you hear what the candy is, then you'll realize, oh yeah, it makes sense. Let's do a full screen here and see what happens. That'll work right there, won't it? Okay, we have a winner. Yay! Candy corn. So chicken feed, is typically made of corn. There's corn in it. And candy corn does look like little multicolored kernels of corn. And I like candy corn. I don't care what you say. Let's do another spin. Ooh, we're getting famous frights again. Okay. Which ghost haunts the Tower of London? I like Indian corn better. What is Indian corn? I take it it's still candy. Indian corn. I'm gonna have to go look for some Indian corn. Like I need more candy. We never get trick-or-treaters here. I guess that's good. Because when we used to buy candy thinking we were going to get trick-or-treaters, then Richard would have to eat whole bags of candy. Not that he minded, but I don't need to do that. Indian corn. Okay, so which ghost haunts the Tower of London? Anybody got a guess? Anne Boleyn. I didn't know that again until I'm putting the trivia together for you. Another spin. Looks like we're going to land on tricky treats again. True or false? Let's see. Let's go back to what Indian corn is. Candy corn with chocolate bottom part instead of yellow. Oh, I have had that. I like the regular candy corn better. I like chocolate, but for some reason I like the old traditional candy corn better with just the red and yellow and white on it. I didn't know that was called Indian corn. Live and learn. Okay, tricky treats. True or false? Reese's came before M&M's. Is it true or false? Reese's came before M&M's. That's true. Reese's came out in 1928 and M&M's came out in 1941. Okay, one more spin, and then we're going to listen to another story. Wild card time. Right. In medieval Europe, what ingredient was rumored to make witches fly on broomsticks? So Erica did not know that Reese's came out before M&M's. I would never have guessed that. I have always thought of Reese's being kind of a modern candy. But in medieval Europe, what ingredient was rumored to make witches fly on broomsticks? I didn't know the answer to this one until putting trivia together. The answer: hallucinogenic herbs like belladonna and mandrake. That's weird, huh? One more. We haven't had any of our classic Halloween lore. Oh, we're about to get it now. All right, classic Halloween lore. What Celtic festival is considered the origin of Halloween? So Celtic, like over in Ireland and that part of the world. Anyone know what the origin of Halloween is, or what it was called? It's Samhain, which is actually spelled Samhain, but I have a little pronunciation note here that it's Samhain. Okay, so let's go back to our spooky stories, which I don't think now. I just need to take it off of full screen. And then I'll minimize it. And then we'll open another story this way. And hopefully it'll play over there. Okay, so here comes another story. You're going to guess if it's true or if it's a trick. Oh, I didn't mean to do it that way.
I still remember.
I didn't mean to do it that way because I feel like it's playing better if I play it over there. So let me try that again. I just need to open it here. Okay, let's try it this way. All right.
I still remember the day I buried her, my daughter, Zana, barely 20 years old, and already she had a sparkle in her smile that lit up the whole Greenbrier Valley. On the morning we discovered her, it seemed simple enough. She died in her sleep, they told me. No foul play. The coroner nodded, my husband fidgeted, and the preacher prepared the service. We laid her down in that simple white dress she'd loved, and I tried to hold back the tears. But even in that moment of sorrow, something in me didn't settle right. That night, something changed. I was awakened by a rustling beside the bed, and there she stood, my daughter, in that dress, her eyes heavy with sorrow but looking straight at me. "Mother," she whispered, "they murdered me." My heart stopped. Zana's voice as clear as day. She told me how my husband, had slipped poisons into her supper, how he tipped her skull, broke her neck, then staged it as natural. She pointed me toward her grave, told me to dig. I did. Later that day, I knelt beside her coffin, pried open the lid, and there it was, a fractured neck, bone misaligned, exactly as she'd whispered in the dark. The path suddenly became clear. I went to the sheriff. I told him every word. They didn't believe me at first. Ghost stories don't exactly win cases. But then the coroner's report came in. The fracture, the bruising, the timeline, and suddenly the voice in the night wasn't just a ghost story. It was a call for justice. My husband was arrested. The trial came. Neighbors whispered about the ghostly visit. My husband sat stone-faced. I sat trembling. And when the jury found him guilty of Zana's murder, well, I felt my daughter's presence slip away, finally at rest. I still walk by her grave sometimes. I talk to her, and I wondered, did she walk through that bedroom door? Was she really there that night in white? I may never know, but I do know that night changed everything. And if you ever question whether the dead can speak, just ask yourself, whose voice would you trust if your own daughter came into you in the dark? Because I heard hers.
Greetings to you on this All Hallows Eve. I trust you are all snug and warm in your safe, comfortable homes on this often dark, dreary night. Best of luck to those lonely travelers that may be far from home in unfamiliar and sometimes unfriendly surroundings.
I was just
I'd
introducing
like
the
to share
video.
a story that may bring chills and goosebumps to some and chuckles and grins to others. My story is called The Whisper at the Historic Hotel. While traveling through Louisiana, I had the occasion to stay overnight in a charming old hotel. The kind with creaky floors and dimly lit staircases and wallpaper that was probably older than my grandparents. Around midnight, I woke up to the sound of a whispering right next to the bed. A man's voice said,
"Don't sleep here."
The room was empty. I turned on every light, sat in an armchair with eyes wide open until dawn, and hurried to check out the next morning. The desk clerk didn't seem at all surprised. He told me that room used to be the former night manager's office, until he died there during a fire. Good night, and pleasant dreams.
So you missed it because I had muted my mic. I'm trying to be mindful of that if there's noise or something here in the house. That was my little sister Sharon. And the voice you heard in part of the video, the man's voice, that's my brother-in-law Chris. So that's my sister contributing to today's show for us. Is that story true or is that a trick? Okay, and now a little more trivia. So let's close this. Let's bring the wheel back and share the screen. Give it a spin. We don't have a whole lot of trivia left. As you can see, the rich part of RichKat Ranch is in the chat. Famous frights. Famous frights. What does the headless horseman use as a head? Who knows the answer to that one? What serves as the headless horseman's head? So he carries it around with him sometimes. Other times it's sitting up on the shoulders. Anyone know? It's a jack-o'-lantern. The headless horseman uses a jack-o'-lantern as his head. Okay, so we finished our famous frights category. Oop, I'm going to do our last wild card. In 2017, police in New Orleans arrested a man for breaking into a home dressed as what Halloween character? Not like from the movie, but a classic a character that people dress up as for Halloween. I did want to keep it full screen, didn't I? I didn't want that. I don't even know what that is. 2017, a man got arrested in New Orleans breaking into a home, and he was dressed as a what? He was dressed as a vampire. Why? I want to drink it. Why? Another spin. All right, the last of the tricky treats question. Which fruit was used for fortune telling on Halloween at some point in the past? I didn't know this. I don't know how that would work, but which fruit was used for fortune telling on Halloween? The answer is apples. I'll never look at apples the same way again. We'll finish off our trivia here. Obviously, we don't have much in the way of categories left. Classic Halloween lore. Let's see. Which vegetable was originally carved before pumpkins? So what was originally carved to use like a jack-o'-lantern before pumpkins? Nope, it wasn't a pirate, Richard. It was a vampire. Why? I want to drink your blood. So which vegetable was originally carved before pumpkins? I have never heard of this in my life. I do have a picture to show you. Believe it or not, the answer to that is turnips. Let me pull up my turnip picture. Let's go back here. Okay, this is hideous. And I'm going to put this over there. Oh, no, here it is showing right on the screen, right? Hang on, let me look at my phone. I opened it a different way, but it doesn't matter if it's a still image. Let me move Mr. Skeleton there. Oh. Those are carved turnips. That is hideous. That is, wow. So kudos to whoever pulled off turnip carving back in the day. Here is a story from Erica. I was napping mid-afternoon one day, as I often do, and out of the blue, my dream changed, and I saw my mother-in-law getting her purse snatched. She was hit and shoved down in a parking lot. The phone rang. I'm thinking there's more to the story. They do that in Ireland. Oh, the turnip carvings? Wow, I really had never heard of that. That is so... These ones here on the lower right, I mean, those are cute. Those have the same kind of look as a Halloween, a pumpkin jack-o'-lantern. But these other ones, these just look like shrunken heads from some, headhunter village, right? Look, that big one, even as there's teeth carved into it and everything. Oh, they all have teeth carved into them. That's just hideous. That's just hideous. All right, let's do our last trivia question. Let's remove this. Go back to this. Obviously, it's the classic Halloween lore. It's our final trivia question of the day. In what century did trick-or-treating become common in the U.S.? How much do you know about trick-or-treating? In what century did trick-or-treating become common? So that's a true story Erica just told. Is it true? Yes, I trust that it's a true story. The 20th century. It became popular in the 1930s, or became common in the 1930s. Raise your hand if you knew that. I never even thought about how long. I think I would have imagined it was longer ago than that. All right, I think we have one more story here. Let's take this off. Go back to, well, let me open the story first. Oh, I don't want full screen over here. How did that happen? Okay, let me pull up the last, I think it's the last video. Let me make sure. Yep, it's the last one. So let me see. Okay, I got to get rid of this. Remove from studio, add to stage. Okay, let's try this again. This is our final story. You got to guess if you think it's true or a trick.
I've never told this story out loud. Not because I'm afraid people won't believe me, but because I still don't have a good way to explain it. It was late fall, about 10 years ago, just before dusk, and I was driving the long way home through the back roads near the ridge. The sun was behind the trees, and the light was kind of like twilight. The road curved through a stretch of woods where the trees leaned in with their branches crossing overhead like fingers. It was peaceful until it wasn't. I'd just rounded the bend near the old hollow when a deer shot out of the trees. I swerved hard, my tires were shrieking, and the next thing I knew, the car was sliding sideways toward the drop-off where there was a steep ravine. For a split second, I thought, this is it. Then everything went completely white. Not like headlights or lightning. This was soft and pulsing like the pattern of someone breathing. The car jerked to a stop, a dead stop. I sat there, shaking, my heart pounding. The front tires were hanging over the edge, maybe an inch or two from going over. When I stepped out, the air was thick with that smell you get right before rain, but the sky was perfectly clear. I turned to look for what had stopped me. There was nothing. No tree, no rock. Just this faint shimmer down in the hollow like a sparkling fog. It drifted for a few seconds, then faded until there was nothing but the sound of the wind. Later, when the tow truck came, the driver whistled and said, "You're lucky. There's nothing here that could have stopped you from going down." I nodded, but didn't say anything. I didn't know how to tell him that something had stopped me. That night when I finally made it home, I noticed the smell of rain again, just for a second, and the window by my kitchen table glowed a little, though no lights were on outside. I don't know what it was, a guardian, a spirit, but every time I drive through that hollow now, I roll the window down and slow down to say a quiet thank you. Because whatever it was that night, it knew me, and it saved me.
Okay, we don't need that on there anymore. I think that was our last story. So, you got to get out your notes. Oh, was the music in the story really loud? It didn't sound loud here at all on my end. It sounded similar to the other stories as I was playing it here. But I'm the last person that would really be able to understand that kind of technical stuff. So, let's see. I've got more Mad Libs, but I don't feel like we have enough people in the chat. So, let me go back and look at my stories, and you guys tell me what you thought was true and what you thought was not true. Now, I will tell you that last story had a lot of really kind of piercing notes running through it here and there. So if you do have a sensitivity, that could have made it seem a lot more uncomfortably loud than it might have been. All right, let me go back. I'm going to look at my thing and try to remember what order I played them. Duh, I should have written them down because the way I had it set up to go run in StreamYard, they were just going to play right through. But because I don't think that worked very well, I'm going to have to send in a ticket. Okay, so first we heard from my friend Beth, who shared the story that she had told me however many years ago about being kind of house hunting, or they were trying to get ideas for a house, she and her fiance, because they were going to build a house. That is a true story. That was a true story. And then I think I showed the story of the kids who thought they saw their mom. They were watching TV with their cousin and they thought they saw their mom come into the living room. And then they didn't know what it was because mom was sound asleep in the bed. So my list shows, this needs to be smaller. That is, I can only say that is purportedly true. It's a story that you can find on various places online, but it's not like one where there's newspaper articles or things that really, really support it. But it's kind of a compilation. It's based on several encounters that people have reported that are similar. So it was sort of a blended story that is purportedly true. Okay, next up, I think we had the story again from Beth about Helen's Bridge, where people in that area of North Carolina say they can go to that bridge and call to this woman and her ghost appears. That's a true story as far as people saying that they've had that encounter. Next up, I think we had the story from of the Greenbrier ghost. Now I need to go back and look and see for sure. That is a true story. That is a true story. Then we had my friend Blake, my little bro from high school, telling his story about having a dream that his neighbor had died. More specifically, that his neighbor's heart had exploded and he died. only then to get a phone call later to learn when he and his wife were away on vacation or he was touring or whatever. He's a professional magician. Did I say that? Oh, I think he says that in the video too. They got a phone call that neighbor had died. And anyway, that's a true story. Next up, we had, what did we have next? Oh, then I think I told my story of feeling like there was a cat. I thought someone sat down on the edge of the bed. It woke me from a dead sleep. And then it felt like a cat walking, like across my legs, cat walking on the bed. That is a true story. That is my very own encounter, true story. And then next up, we had my little sister, Sharon, telling the story about the whisper at the historic hotel with the help of my brother-in-law, who sounded a line beautifully. That is a false story. That is a trick. That one was made up. And then the final story was the story of the driver who swerved to keep from hitting a deer, and her car didn't fall over the edge of the road into this deep ravine for unknown reasons. And could have been a spirit, could have been a something. That's a made up story. That was a trick. But wasn't that a pretty story? Even with the piercing notes that may have been uncomfortable for people with sensitive ears or tinnitus. But those are my trick or truth stories. I thought I was going to try to cook or like make a Halloween treat today. And I found a recipe for mini pumpkin cheesecakes. Oh, and they look beautiful and they sound delicious, but I obviously missed the part in the recipe that you have to bake the shells. So granted, maybe I could have baked the graham cracker crumb shells ahead of time, but I was thinking it was something that you really just layered, like you mix your graham crackers with some melted butter and just press, and you don't have to bake anything. That's what I thought, because I make it's kind of like a Reese's peanut butter cup. I make this thing with peanut butter and chocolate and powdered sugar and graham crackers and butter, and then melt chocolate chips and pour over. So it really tastes like a Reese's peanut butter cup. And there's no baking. And so that's what I thought these little cheesecakes were going to be. So I don't have anything to show you as far as cheesecakes. Richard brought home some Halloween treats from work yesterday, and I wish he had done that. Well, they probably didn't have them before yesterday, right? Duh. If I had had that before, one of the things in it, I have not had any tea today, so I don't have any caffeine. So I'm hungry and sleepy. One of the things that was among the treats he brought home were these little Rice Krispie treat rectangles, but then they had been like wrapped around with melted white chocolate. And then I need to look a little closer. I think it's mini chocolate chips. So there's mini chocolate chips placed where the eyes would be, and then it's wrapped around to look like a little mummy. And I thought, see, that's what I wanted to do, something like that. No bake, maybe you melt the chocolate chips or whatever. And I could have either made the Rice Krispie treats ahead of time or bought some Rice Krispie treats. So no recipe for today. Forgive me for that. But let's see, we have some more to share. Oh, my older kids were little, and I took them to my friend's neighborhood to trick or treat since I was in a very rural area and houses were far apart. It was Halloween with a full moon, partly cloudy. I think there's more of this story coming. She's probably typing furiously. So again, apologies for what I'm sure was a bumpy, scratchy stream. I don't know why we have I do know why we have so much trouble with our internet. In spite of the ridiculous amount we pay for it, the infrastructure, the actual equipment, Spectrum just does not. They don't devote anything they make. They don't devote it to upgrading lines or whatever, all the things that have to happen to get internet from there to us. They don't upgrade any of that. And so it's already old and worn out and outdated. And so if we have a storm or a squirrel chews through something, then we've just got more problems to add on to the other problems. Let's read this first part again. My older kids were little and I took them to my friend's neighborhood to trick or treat since I was in a very rural area and houses were far apart. It was a Halloween with full moon, partly cloudy. By the time we were done and got home, the kids were asleep. I carried the youngest and herded the other two in front of me, juggling purse, candy bags, leftovers from dinner, etc. We'll just leave that on the screen. I wish I could show 2 quotes at a time or 2 comments at a time. Speaking of asleep, I don't want to jinx anything. Although I was almost secretly hoping that there would be a siren or something off in the distance that would make the boys howl. Howling would be good on a Halloween live stream, right? But I'm not going to mess with a good thing because they're all sleeping very peacefully right now. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if the comment section would let you put the whole story in there? You're always welcome to come on screen and tell your story to us that way. So I've always wished that I could wear red lipstick. My friend Chris wears red lipstick. I love it. She looks beautiful. She's beautiful anyway, but she can pull off red lipstick. And I love red lipstick, but I don't feel like I can wear it. Now, obviously today's Halloween, and I know there's this thing about balance. If it's supposed to be that if you do your eyes up a lot, you're not really supposed to do a lot on your lips, or right? But it's Halloween, so that's why I got both of them on. But I'm digging this red lipstick. I don't think I have it on teeth. Okay. Now, it's not as red as I would like. I would like a candy apple red, but I have a hard time finding red lipstick that actually then is red when I put it on my lips. Or it might start off looking kind of red, and then it turns again into the deeper burgundy or like a brownish red. So I don't know enough about it. I don't know a lot about makeup. Again, did I tell you it took me like an hour and 10 minutes just to do my stinking eyes? Okay, here comes the next part. As I was trying to unlock the door, we heard a low but loud moaning that made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. The kids woke up and were scared, so it was obviously loud enough that the sleeping kids heard it. But now I'm waiting to see if she found out what it was. Where did the sound come from? I'm thinking Richard will be home any minute. Oh, I need to get my spider back in the picture. Come back here, little spider. I got to fix my fringe again. I don't know, the fringe is kind of neat, huh? I might feel okay with red lipstick if I always had fringe over my face. So we're waiting for another part of the story. And since she didn't say that's the end, I know there's more coming. It is so cold here. And I was worried. So when I first picked out this thing to wear, I've had this shirt forever. It seems very appropriate for Halloween. Yes, I used to actually wear this around. It doesn't really fit me anymore. I won't stand up and let you see how it doesn't really fit me anymore, but it seemed good for Halloween, right? I have a whole lot of clothes like that I don't know why I still have them, but I do. So I was worried at first that it would be warm because even though this is sheer, it still can get kind of warm because it's like a nylon-y material, kind of stretchy, kind of nylon-y. Okay, here's more of the story. They were clinging to me so hard I could hardly move. I had much trouble unlocking the door because I was laughing, but trying to calm them at the same time. I knew what the eerie moan was. Oh my gosh, come on. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, I'm ready to know what that was. Anyone have guesses what it might have been? What could it have been? What could it have been? What was the description of it again? A low but loud moaning that made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. And she knew what it was, and it scared the kids, and it made her laugh so that she had trouble unlocking the door to get everybody inside, which is hard enough anyway when you're carrying a kid and you're trying to do something. I'm thinking back to the days when, I had all 4 of my kids in 5 years, and I'm thinking back to the days when I would have a kid on each hip, plus I'm holding a diaper bag and like carrying an umbrella because it's raining, of course. It's amazing what moms can do with one hand or no hands because they have to. Okay, we're about to find out what the moaning was, right? And I want to know if you knew what the moan was all along, or did you figure out what it was and that's why you laughed? Have you ever heard the wind blow? And I think it's when the wind is like hitting the side of a structure and it goes around a corner. It's not usually windy enough here. And I think because we have a lot of trees and stuff, the wind is not so strong when it hits the edges of the house that we can hear it this way. But the wind has blown so hard at times in places where I've lived that it sounds like a cougar or like a big cat, like a wild cat growling. Oh, here we go. I got them in and nearly collapsed on the couch with all. It was my chocolate male lab moose. He was a very hormonal boy, and when a female was in heat anywhere within smelling distance, he would howl. So it was the little demon inside the dog, really, really wanting to fulfill his purpose. Oh, that is hilarious. That's hilarious. And it's a different kind of a sound that a dog will make under those circumstances. It's not the same sound as if he was moaning because he was hurt or because he was scared or, oh, that's funny. The kids, did you tell the kids that's what it was? Or did they get in the house and wake up and then realize, oh, it's just whatever his name is, Moose. It's just Moose. Longing for the neighbor girl. That's funny. I can't think of a lot of funny Halloween stories except for the fact that, again, some years it was so cold that the kids had to wear coats over their super cute Halloween costumes. I might go back to being a cat again next year. We'll see. I've still got my ears, my DIY ears on a black headband. Oh, I could turn the music back up a little bit. I don't have much else for you guys today. I did have some more MadLibs, but we won't do them because it's more fun if there's a big group of people and everybody can shout out answers. I know ChatGPT might be kind of bummed that I didn't come back and let it do some more MadLibs with us, but I didn't want that to be the whole part of the show. All right, so next week is November 7th. And I will have Dr. Amanda Lawson as my guest for an interview. She is our equine vet. She takes care of Cabo and Delilah. So far, all they've needed is, checkups and vaccinations and Coggins testing and stuff like that. She did last year when she came out make some assessments because Cabo had been walking kind of funny. But she put him on some, like the equivalent of ibuprofen for horses, and he was on that for about a month, and then it resolved. So, we deduced that it was just some sort of overuse or a strain or something on one of his back legs. Otherwise, they check out as healthy. And I think I mentioned last week, we are in the beginning stages of seeking out a new property. We knew that day was coming sometime, but we don't know where it's going to be yet. We're hoping, again, timing wise, our old girl Serena, we really do think this will be her last holiday season with us. So if the timing works out, then we can let her just stay comfortable here in this place. It's really the only place she's ever known, and not stress her out right at the end by moving to a new place. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and I'll keep you posted. Regarding Moose the dog, he'd been gotten after by his previous owner, so if he saw you, he'd only moan. With no one in sight, it was a full-blown howl. So he didn't know they were home yet. He knew he could make all the noise he wanted. That's so cute. That's so cute. Anyway, so it's Dr. Lawson next Friday. The following Friday will be the sound therapist that I have scheduled for an interview. And she then will be followed by the aviation attorney. And then we'll wrap things up before the Christmas holidays start. And my friend Gordy Seward will be here to talk to us about cybersecurity and scam proofing your life and how to be safe in this world where obviously some pretty clever criminals have too much time on their hands and haven't figured out that if they would devote their energies toward good causes and making the world a better place, they would be a whole lot more successful overall than to do all these shady, underhanded things that they're doing with their fake links and emails and all the stuff that hopefully none of you have ever really had to deal with, but it's part of everyday life. So, and then probably nothing as far as interviews for the rest of the show. I'll have a Christmas stream. And then do some other, trivia shows or a themed Friday here and there. And then we'll be looking at the new year. So I don't know how this happens that things go so fast, but here we are coming into the holidays again. One of these days I should write down all my old unexplained stories. There's a book waiting to be published. Okay, so I will have the compilation of the storybook stories from today's show in a standalone video that will go out tomorrow. And kudos to, again, my partner, ChatGPT, for designing those illustrations for me. It really is a fascinating and very enjoyable process for me to go to ChatGPT and say, okay, here's what I'm thinking. A scene where this happens and it's kind of, dark lighting or now when we have a story that we're accompanying, I can actually rely on places in the text to give ChatGPT direction on what I want. And every now and then I do have to say, oh, no, I didn't mean that. Let's do it where this is in this part and this is in this part. And then, or flip everything around or turn it 90 degrees or whatever it is I ask for. But I think because I've worked with it as much as I have, it's really started just understanding how I communicate. So things that I might say that are very detailed and could really lose somebody if they heard me say it, it's really gotten great at keeping track of, okay, so she wants these colors and she wants it to be this size and she wants it to take up this part of the screen. And on the opposite side, she wants this and this and this. So again, all of the illustrations you saw in the stories that weren't actually human people talking, those were designed by ChatGPT. And then I just put them together in my editing software and put the transitions in so they blend together and fit with the timing of the story. And I love that process. I don't like editing overall, but when I can do something like that, it's very, very gratifying and enjoyable to me. So thanks, ChatGPT. And if you missed the first part of the show, ChatGPT was my word giver for the first and only Mad Lib we're going to do today. But we'll do that again another time. We did Christmas Mad Libs a couple of years ago, and that was a hoot. And there were a lot of people watching. So hopefully we'll have more participation in December. Sunday night, this weekend, McClintock, 1963, John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara, one of the funniest and most beloved Western comedies of all time, will be premiering on the channel at 7 p.m. So check that out. Join us for that. I missed the last couple of premieres. Sunday nights are kind of busy for me. So I was sort of excited to think of this idea of premiering these films because it's still a way to share something that I love with you guys without having to, like be on screen or be in chat or something. So apologies if you don't see me in chat, but the bigger purpose of it is to share these classic old movies. I have really enjoyed this kick I'm on this year, thinking about the past. I've done my decades, my music decades series. Yes, the 90s is coming at some point. So if you've missed those, I've covered the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s already. I had a blast doing those. And so, again, whatever's happening in my life or because of the age I am now, I am really enjoying looking back and thinking about things that have brought me joy and have just really fed me over time. And old entertainment, music, movies, books, those things have really, really been blessings to me my whole life. So you're seeing that on the channel. So I hope you will tune in on Sunday night for McClintock. The next Sunday is going to be a movie I had never heard of. But in my search for public domain movies, so that I'm not stepping on any copyright toes, I found an old Mickey Rooney movie. This is Mickey Rooney like you haven't seen him before, unless you've seen this movie. But I had never seen this movie, and it's a great movie. And Mickey Rooney is a great actor. So even though I think of him like a lighthearted, funny, dancing, singing, entertainer, he is an amazing dramatic actor, and it's a great movie, and it's called Quicksand. So that's the movie that will premiere next Sunday, November 9th. And I've got lots of things planned for you. Sort of a sneak peek concept. We'll have a Monster Madness series coming up early next year. So I'll get to share some of my favorite old movies, the old B-film black and white monster movies that I can never get enough of. And so maybe some of those will be new to you. But I'm having the best time sharing this old stuff with you guys. So I hope you're liking it too. I'm going to turn you loose. I've got to get something to eat. I need to get some tea to get a little bit of caffeine in me. Good. So you love McClintock. I hope you'll be able to tune in and at least watch part of it. Know it by heart, but you can watch it over and over and over. There's something for everyone in it because it's got, it's a Western movie, but it's got just all kinds of different relationships, and it's just overall a hilarious movie. And who doesn't love John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara? And you put them together, and who doesn't love that? So tune in for that. I'll see you next Friday with Dr. Lawson. Rich and I will be back next Thursday. Knock on wood, I won't do that because it wakes the dogs up. Barring any internet issues again like we had last night. We weren't able to do our live last night because we had no internet at all. And the tech was here probably until like 6:15, 6:30. So we'll plan to be back next week, do some of the things that we haven't done in the previous couple of episodes that we just didn't get around to it because we took up too much time with something else. And I'll look for you Sunday night. Be safe, be happy, be well. Happy Halloween. Make sure you carry your flashlights with you when you're out with your little ones tonight. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye, friends.